This is body weight squat form. There's so many strange cues and tips that have been taught as gospel in the squat. I want to break some of them down. The first one is the idea that you have to push hard onto your heels in order to do a squat. That was an old cue that we used to give that is simply not true. If you have ankle limitations on your left or your right side, mashing your heels into the ground may actually cause you to rotate at your hips and cause back pain when you do your squat. You also may find that if you allow your toes to get in contact with the ground, that you actually feel a more complete movement. So instead of just your butt and hamstrings working, you also get your quads working, which again breeds better movement in the long term. So if we're going to practice the squats, there are several different ways to do these. The first is I would have you just stand comfortably. Now, if you look down, you should notice that your toes, your big toe and your foot are rotated out just slightly, and they should be about hip distance or slightly farther apart. The most important part for this is that you find the comfortable squat distance for you. Too wide and too narrow doesn't bode well for high repetition squats. So if you find your comfortable position, take your hands in front of you and then start to squat down. The hands in front is just a counterbalance to make this easier, so that you don't end up pulling yourself forward from your hips. Once you get to a position that feels good and comfortable for you, press through the ground and stand up. Instead of the old cue of pressing your heels on the ground, I want you to think about your whole foot engaging with the ground. I want to think specifically your big toes are firmly engaged, and when you go down and when you go up, your goal is to push into the ground rather than just to think about standing up. So think of this as a leg press. You're actually pushing the world away from you, Chuck Norris style. So arms out in front, squat down, press to the top. Now, as you're doing this squat, you should feel very strong and very comfortable. You may notice that you rotate a little bit. If you've got limitations in one ankle, you may even notice that one ankle comes up off the ground a little bit. That's okay as long as your priority is being straight from your hips. Some people find that they're a little more comfortable if they take their legs out wider, turn their feet out a little bit more. That's fine as long as your knees go out in the same direction as your toes. Some people find they feel a little bit more comfortable if they bring them into the middle. If you're the type of person who has knee pain, especially on the inside of your knee, you will find that bringing your feet a little bit closer together allows you to get rid of some of that knee pain. I personally like to squat with my feet just underneath my hips, and you'll watch my knees. I don't squat straight down. I actually open a little bit so that my body squats down between my hips, and then I push through the ground to stop. If you want to get better at this, go very slow on the way down. Think 3 seconds on the way down, 3 seconds on the way up. No more than 3 to 5 repetitions. And the biggest thing you want to do is work on grabbing the ground strongly with your feet.